Good afternoon, everyone. We got some people jumping in here. We'll get started here in just a moment. Give everybody a little bit of time just in case there's tech issues or anything like that jumping in. I know those happen. So we will first kind of introduce you to us. I know a lot of familiar faces on here depending on where you're from, but we want to make sure you know who we are. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Steve Muster. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing with Wow Video Tours. And I'm right here in our home office, and we have a lot of our team on here as well. I'll kick it over to you, Pam.
Hi, everybody. I am Pam Branham. I'm a business development specialist in Cincinnati in the northern Dayton, Kentucky marketplace, and very happy to be here with you. My role as a business development specialist is to make sure that you are aware of the services that we offer, make sure that you're totally satisfied, and be here to help support you in any way I can. Chris?
Yes, I am Chris Vogue. I'm the sales manager for WOW and the business development specialist for Columbus and Dayton. So, any of you folks in those markets need anything, just give me a call. Let me know how I can help. And I'll pass it on to Joy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joy Kaiser. I'm also a business development specialist. I am in the Charlotte market, so we cover the greater Charlotte area, including parts of South Carolina, like Rock Hill, Fort Mill area. And just happy that you all are here. Glad to be here as well, and always here to help you guys with any questions that you have about your media or picking like the best service for your listing. Just always happy to help with anything you need. Ryan.
Thanks, Troy. My name is Ryan Bowersock. I am the client partner here in Lima area, and also I'm also a member of Chris's team in the Dayton and Columbus area as well. Kind of doing similar things as a business development specialist would. But yeah.
Awesome. And then we'll pass it over to Tessa.
Yay, I'm last. It's okay. I am Tessa Schmink. I am the marketing design manager here at Wow Video Tours. So basically, my role, I get to help support these lovely people with all their marketing and sales needs so that they can help you guys to the best of their abilities.
And also to add on to that, all of you as well. So if you're an agent working with us, you know, a lot of the tools that we have out there, like our listing presentation, getting ready guide, things like that, Tessa is the design behind that. So we can thank her for all of those great tools out on the website.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Great. Well, we have some people joining in, so we'll get started here. This is our second webinar in the Back to Business series. So today, if you missed the first webinar, it focused on the portal. So where you place your orders, how you access all the tools, how you pay invoices, everything that you do with Wow is kind of in that portal. So if you didn't get a chance to join us last week, we do have that posted to YouTube. That's a great webinar that you can join in, and we have it chaptered out so you can kind of jump around to whatever you want to learn about within that portal. But today we're going to be focusing on media mastery. So of course, we're a real estate media and marketing company. So there's a lot of media, you know, that we throw back out your way, and we want to make sure that you have all the information, the tools, the knowledge, tips, and tricks that are going to get the most out of that media. I know there's 100 different items on your task list whenever a listing is getting ready to go live, and we're just one part of that. But we're a big part of that with the media. So we want to make it as easy as possible, make sure that you guys are getting the most out of the investment in the media, and really give you everything that you need to get the most ROI out of the media that you order through Wow Video Tours. So we're going to talk through a couple different things there, but I just wanted to kind of start off. Everybody in the room here, if you have any questions, feel free to throw it out in chat. If you have anything that you'd like us to maybe do a deeper dive on as we're talking through things, throw it out in the chat. If we can answer it today, that's great. If not, then maybe it's something that we do a completely different session on to get some really good information out there for you. Today, we're going to try to give you as much information as possible on just the best way to use all of your media. So we're going to touch on photos, walkthrough videos, agent on camera videos, anything that you get that is going to be of high marketing value from us. We're going to give you some tips on how to best use that. So let us know what your thoughts are in the chat as we go. We'll try to answer those if it is in that section. If not, we'll hold it to the end and we'll make sure that we cover all those for you as well. So just getting started here, though, one thing that I just want everybody to think about is when you get your media, What we don't want is for you to get your media, upload the photos and the video into the MLS, and then call it done. That's just one of many steps. We want you to get the most mileage out of that media as possible. And I know that, like I said, there's a million things on your task list. It's easier said than done, but we want to at least make that bridge to cross a little bit easier to show you some new ideas maybe that you didn't have on how you could utilize some of this, and then maybe some functional tips on actually how you do it. So we'll dig into that. But I think that's the biggest takeaway from this webinar session is just you have X amounts of media coming your way. How can you turn it into, an entire marketing plan for that listing and then beyond? So we'll jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen here, kind of off and on through the webinar, just to kind of show you guys a few things. But I'm going to start off with sharing right to our homepage here. So again, our last meeting last week, we talked about the portal and best ways to utilize that and what it can do for you. So I'm not going to go into deep detail on that, but just as a reminder, to get to your portal, you can go to our Wow Video Tours website and click Book Now in the top right corner. Or once you have that link, what I suggest is to bookmark this link because it's going to give you so much mileage down the road as far as what you can do with it. It's all in one spot. You don't have to worry about chasing down emails and everything else along those lines. So I'm going to log into my profile here because we want to get to the media. So as I log in here, it's going to load up to the order page. So you're probably very familiar with this if you're working with us because this is where you submit every order for every listing that you have. But again, with the portal, you have a lot of tools in here. Today, we're going to be focused in the top menu bar up here on listings. So when we click into listings, this is going to have every listing that we've ever shot for you located in here. It'll show it in what status it is, whether it's delivered or if you've ever had any canceled appointments, things along those lines. You'll see all this in one nice view on the portal here. But down below is probably the biggest thing on how to access your media. So you have a lot of icons here below each property. The one that we want to focus on today mostly is the download assets. So when you click on that, I'm going to go to a sample job I have it here under my profile. When you click on download assets, there's a few things here at the top I just want to touch on. There's a branded single property website and an unbranded single property website. And so I think the two critical things with this is a lot of times people ask us, which link do I use? And the short answer is unbranded is generally safe for any MLS out there. I know a lot of MLSs have kind of adapted their rules and kind of been a little bit more lenient on branding and things like that. So check with your local MLS to see what's allowed, what's not. But there are still a lot of MLSs out there that do have a very strict, no branding policy. So typically the only spot that you're going to ever use, if ever, the unbranded single property website link is on that MLS, if that's what you have to do to follow the guidelines with your local board there. But almost anywhere else, this branded single property website is going to bring in your branding. So the difference between those, if I click view on the unbranded, you can see there's no logo up here, and it's going to take away any of your branding that maybe you have on the property website. So that is the difference, whereas this one does keep that branding following through. You'll see the logo here in the top menu, and then as I scroll down, in this example, it has my information right here, front and center. So it's a great tool to use on multiple cases, but again, check with your MLS. If they don't allow it, use the unbranded site. Anywhere else, use the branded. So if you're sending people to the property website from email notifications, if you're putting it as a call to action on social media posts, a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, use this top one. It's always the best one to use. So just wanted to kind of share that. One other thing that we get a lot of questions on here on the right side, you have a couple options for QR codes to each of those websites as well. What that does, when you pull it up, you'll see a QR code and it'll have your branding in the middle with your brokerage. You can click download and it actually saves that as an image to your computer. I think that's a great thing to download with all of your listings so that way you have it. But this site and all of your media that you get from us, we're going to host it for you for 12 months. So one thing that we always talk about is you have 12 months of access on our website to be able to get in here and get to the media. That's when the single property website will be active and everything else on that side. But one thing I'll walk through here in a little bit is I suggest that you download the QR code, save the links, and download all the media into a folder that you're going to have indefinitely into the future because it doesn't end at the listing. You want to continue marketing your properties and marketing your brand and yourself indefinitely into the future. So you don't want to lose access to any media. You might need it, 12, 18, maybe it's 36 months down the road and you're thinking of maybe a shot that you had in a single house or a nice video that you had, you don't want to lose that. So I always recommend downloading it. So we'll walk through that here in a second too. But down below on the download assets page, the download page, you'll have tabs for all of your media up here. So in this example, I have photos and I have the walkthrough video. And so all your pictures are down below. If I click over to video, I can see that as well. But again, what I recommend is the day that you get your media, download all of this media all in one swoop. And I suggest using something like OneDrive or Google Drive or something along those lines that you can have a spot to secure it. So it's not just living on your desktop either, because you change computers, computers go wrong, go bad, whatever the case is. We don't want that to be trapped on there either. But to download your media, you have a couple different options here. And so I wanted to kind of just show you how to get to the media and how to access it first, and then we'll walk through some of the best tips and tricks on how to use it. But when you go in here, you have a couple options. You can click individually images that you want to download. But if you're doing something to where you need all the images, then you do have a select all button up here. That makes it a lot easier. Even if there's a few images that you don't want to carry through for whatever reason, you can always uncheck those. So it makes it a lot easier to filter down to what you want to show here. But when you click download, you have a couple different options on here. You have print quality, you have web quality, you have custom size, and you have branded. And I'm going to talk mainly about the print and the web, but I will touch on the other two as well. The difference between these are if you're using this for the MLS or anything online, I would say use web quality. They're still high quality images, but they are going to load much more easily anywhere you put them, even the MLS. To whereas the print quality is a higher quality photo, it's really made for print material. So if you're doing any kind of flyers, if you're doing any kind of postcards, things along those lines, that's kind of the differentiator is if it's going online, use web quality in most cases. If it's going on any kind of print material, use print quality. And that's going to kind of balance out the quality and the speed of loading on the website as well. The other option that you have here is custom size. So if you have a custom size that you need for any of your images, you can put in a width here. And when you do that, it will automatically keep it proportionate with how we deliver the media, but it will resize it to that appropriate size that you need. It's not used all the time, but it is a nice tool to have on there. And then the other one is branded. This simply is for if you want to upload a logo of some sort, you can actually go in here and you can upload a logo with your branding or watermark, whatever the case is. And then you can choose how big you want that to show on the media that you download. And you can also choose the position if you want it in the bottom right corner, wherever it's most appropriate for that. Again, it might not be something that you use all the time, but it's a nice tool to have and know that it's in here. So that is a simple way to download. You can download individually too by clicking web, high, or branded. But if you're going to follow our suggestion, I say download it all as soon as you get it. And then create a like Google Drive, OneDrive, what I was talking about before. Create a single folder for listing media, and then create a subfolder for every address that you shoot with us. And then just simply drag and drop once you download that media right into the folder, and it's there forever for you. That's going to make sure that you always have it, whether it's, a couple months down the road or if it's 3 years down the road, you're going to have access to it personally right there for you. Same thing goes for video. If you have any video, if you have any floor plans, if you have any other content, it will be on here as well. And so I suggest going into each of these and you can simply click download below any video and it will download it to your computer and you can store it Google Drive or any other spot as well. So I think that's basics on how you access your media and some best tricks on how to make sure that you maintain that media and definitely into the future. I think the one thing that that I love hearing out there is, that if you're relying on the download page, it's going to be there for 12 months, which is great. That's going to cover most listings. But if you're using this as an investment to not only market the listing, but also market yourself, if you have it in a separate place, it will be there available no matter how far in the future. And you can actually use it to brand and market yourself and not just that listing. I think that's an underutilized tool out there to kind of highlight. So that is how you access the media. I'm going to throw it over to Joy, who will talk a little bit more about the photos. We're going to start with the MLS side of things, and then we'll transfer over to Tessa, who'll talk a little bit more about the marketing side of things. So, Joy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so for just best practices for MLS, obviously I can't state the importance enough of the importance of the first photo that you use. You want a photo that somebody's going to want to click to get all the information about the house. So, obviously picking that perfect front angle. Sometimes you may want to use an inside if you have a wow kitchen or a great backyard or something that you want to highlight as your first photo. But just that's, I think the most important thing. And then as well, we deliver the photos to you in order of kind of how you would walk through the house. So just to make it really easy for you, it's really important, I think, to upload them in that order so that a buyer, as they're looking through, they can kind of visualize themselves going through the house, what the floor plan looks like. If they're all kind of out of order, it just feels a little chaotic and confusing. So I think that's important, but we do send them to you that way. And then another suggestion is, since houses are staying on the market a little longer now, refreshing that first image every 21 days is a great way to just keep that listing fresh. Maybe something different will spark a buyer that has scrolled past it a few times, like, oh, hey, wait, I need to click on that one and see it. So just some ideas for you guys when you're uploading your photos to the MLS.
Yeah, I think those are great tips, Joy. I think this is just a visual of that. Obviously, if you're sending traffic anywhere, don't send them to syndicated websites, but I wanted to pull this up as an example out there. So just what Joy was saying is the thumbnail is so important because, think of when somebody searches Zillow, if they're on this view, this is what they're going to see pop up as the first image of that property. So put the best foot forward, so to say, on that listing with the best thumbnail. And then also, when they click into it, like Joy said, make it feel natural going through that home. And I think this is a good example of that on both sides is when you click into it into any listing, regardless of where it's at, you want to be able to search through the images and know where you are in the house as best as possible. You're gonna have a natural progression through that home on that side as well. So I think that's just a great way to kind of visualize why that's so important, is because this is what they're gonna see when they're searching for a house.
And we love a twilight for the first photo.
Yeah, I was gonna say
As
something like
much as
that.
we,
If
oh,
you look
sorry.
at that Zillow, that one Twilight jumped out at you. So either
Yeah.
a Twilight or an Ariel are going to make a bigger impact when you're talking. Just this where they just have them side by side. But see how that one that Twilight just jumped out. I thought that was a good point.
I feel like we do
Yeah.
so many twilights, yet when I do scroll Zillow, I don't see those as the first image as often. So I do still think those stand out quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a great point on that side. I mean, use something that's going to get the attention. You're cutting through a lot of traffic, especially when you're talking about syndicated websites and everything else. So anything that you can do to bring that listing to the forefront, that's going to help you. I saw a stat that said 90% of people will only see the first photo of a listing. And this is exactly why, is because when they're searching through, they're seeing it, but are they stopping on it? 90% of the time, they're not. So if you can get them to stop and want to click in because you look different and it stands out a little bit more, that's going to be what separates that listing to get more traffic wherever you're sending that traffic. Awesome. Thanks, Joy. We'll go over to Tessa, who has some thoughts on going through with the focusing on photos and how you could use those to kind of market yourself in a few different ways instead of just uploading to the MLS and calling it done there. We want you to carry that forward and use that media in a different way.
Yes, yes. Because if you think you're done after the MLS, you are not. So we're going to talk about pretty much anything and everything that you can do with your photos after the MLS. Specifically, I'm going to start with social media. Ah, gotta love it. Good old social media. But most people know of the typical posts of like maybe you're coming soon, your new listing, maybe an open house, and you're sold. But don't stop there or add some interest to it. That's what I'm going to say with this. So, for example, you can post a single image of your listing, whatever it may be. For this example, we'll start with teaser. If you want to tease the listing, maybe you're just posting the front of the house or maybe a specific feature of the house. And you're always adding its own caption and a call to action, bringing it back to your listing page. That way, you're keeping people interested in what they're seeing. So I suggest throughout the lifespan of you having your listing live, you could do this probably anywhere between 3 to 10 times, just one single image, where you're bringing your followers' attention back to your listing. Be like, have you seen this amazing feature? For example, a kitchen filled with all these fun, unique luxury features like a pot filler. Some people might be really into that. And that's a time to highlight that on social media and so that your followers can see that, be interested in your listing. It's a call back to action.
And I think on the screen here, I was sharing Tessa, like something like this, just take a random photo of one of those features, like the pot filler, the patio, the deck, something that's going to draw some attention. And you don't have to sell the home in a single caption. Just put the potential buyer out there into the emotional, state of feeling like they're there. So if you can do something like this and say, imagine your coffee on this beautiful deck every morning, and it doesn't have to sell the home in one feature, but you're going to gain more traction by just being consistent with this. And you're going to have a lot more. I think one of the biggest things we hear when we talk to realtors and social media specific is, what do I post? I don't know what to post. You're sitting on a gold mine of content just with your media that you can really get out there and get some attention on.
Yes, to even build on top of that, stories seem to be a more utilized feature on social media than typical posts as well lately. So that is a good time to ask your followers for more engagement. For example, you're putting out there on your story a post about the listing, let's say the living room, and you put on there a poll and ask a question inside the poll, something specific about that listing's living room. It's a good way to add engagement and get people involved. Next, we'll talk a little bit about the carousels. This is, I feel like, a little bit underutilized, but is definitely popular at the same time right now. You could do this probably 2 to 3 times throughout the listing's time that it's live. But by leading with a hook, such as swipe to the backyard, you can then share multiple images of your listing until the back. It's best if it's in like some sort of chronological order, again, kind of like the MLS where you're going from the front to the main living, kitchen, dining to the back of the house.
This is an example on the screen. It's not from any of our areas, but we just wanted to kind of show you what you could do with some basic photos with that carousel, like Tessa's talking about. So as you upload those images, you don't need to upload 40 images into a carousel. Typically, I think probably 4 or 5 images is going to get you what you want to keep their attention. Again, attention is very hard to capture on social media, so you want to play the odds and get that in front of them and keep their attention as long as possible. So a carousel is a great way to do that because it's literally just taking some photos and walking them through the house. This one has a lot more than probably I'd recommend as a teaser. This is more, let's upload every photo of every room in here. But I would suggest condensing that down a little bit and use it more as a teaser. Like Tessa said, you can get 2 to 3 posts a month out of that, while that listing's active, and it's a great way to build that up.
And just something new on carousels is you can now put different captions. You can put a caption for each photo. So as they scroll through, you can have something different in the caption, probably like the
Yes.
one on the screen.
Yes, we tried to find an example like that too. So you have some creative ways. A lot of the platforms have tools that you can just use to overlay text as you upload. Or you could take the images and do that, before you even upload. So it's kind of up to you. I think it's easier to use the tools that are there because that's what they're there for. but you can add text in here. And I think I like this one because it kind of tells a story as you go through the listing. And again, it kind of plays on that emotion of picturing yourself in that property or connecting with the realtor. So they had a lot of fun with this one. This one says the kind of space where guests naturally gather, shoes come off at the door, and conversations somehow drift late into the evening. I love that because that's a way to take a simple photo, add a little bit of text, and then just get a lot of mileage through the carousel by getting them to connect to that property. As you read that, you kind of imagine it in your head, and that's what your goal is as a realtor is to picture them in there and match it, and hopefully, they are the right fit for that home, and you can repeat that over and over again in your business. Sorry, Tessa, throw it back to you.
Nope, you're good. I lost my train of thought though.
I think
Um,
I think another idea, Tessa, while you're thinking there is you could do that same philosophy for an aerial image too. So even if you're not trying to sell the home, maybe you have aerial included with that property. You could take the same thought process that we were talking about here and get a nice, the widest view possible of what media you have, aerial shot of the home, and then do a highlight of the neighborhood, and say like, what are the selling points of this neighborhood? Is it quiet? Does it have a park nearby? Is it across from a school? What are the things that will help people connect with that a little bit more? And then again, it's not like you're selling the home in one post, but you're just kind of building the momentum and the consistency of that marketing for the life of that listing.
Indeed, and that's just photos. We have yet to cover video, so we'll get to that soon though. But first, I'm going to transition into more about the print side of marketing. So that's where you're going to use, how Steve said earlier, your high-res images for potential feature sheets or just listed postcards, maybe an open house flyer or a mailer. The Marketing Toolkit, which we do have a session for later this month, is a great resource for being able to kind of create from templates some flyers or social media posts. It's all pre-made and your listing media is already in there. So unlike Canva where you would have to download everything, re-upload it, and then make your content, it's all right here. Are you struggling to log in?
Yeah, sorry, my phone's not cooperating right now, but we
You're
are, like
good.
Tessa said, we're going to dig into that marketing toolkit. That's just a way to make it easy for you to access those things. But visit our events page, sign up for that other session for the marketing toolkit, because we could spend an entire afternoon just discussing that by itself because there's so many tools that are available. But we do have some shortcuts there for you to really create those postcards, flyers, any of that print material, as well as some social graphics out there.
Yes. And then to finally hit home that even though we've mostly talked about using your photos to market the listing, you do not have to stick with that. You are able to use that for after the listing has closed. So, for example, maybe a just sold post or just sold postcard you're sending out to the area. You could use it in your next listing presentation, letting your potential sellers know, hey, this is what I've done for a past client of mine. This is what I can do for you as well, if you would like. Or maybe another example would be year-end carousels, where you have a collage of all the homes you've sold that year, all the clients you helped that year. It's a great way, great callback to all the listing media you've done, and it's already readily available for you. Another content idea, you can use your listing media as like backdrops for any content. It doesn't have to be specifically about that listing, but you, since you paid for it, have access and can utilize it how you like. I'm not sure if you have that one example I sent you, Steve. Probably not.
I, I don't have that one.
There was one, it was like 10 ways to lose a house or something like that. And it was their funny way to play a play on mistakes that people might make in the buying process. And so they ended up making it a carousel as well, but they just used their listing media as the background with text over top, which you could again do in Canva or a marketing toolkit.
I love it. That's a good idea. I think another thing I was thinking on our page here I wanted to show. You mentioned using and again, we're just talking about photos so far, but using photos as a way to kind of highlight sold listings and year in reviews and everything else. I did want to show Amy's one that tags us in her post when she sells, and so I think this is a great way to really visualize what that looks like. So not only do you get the content out there and you highlight what you did for that seller and matched it with the buyer, but you can also tag all of your partners in that process. And you're going to expand that audience dramatically every time you tag, because not only is your audience going to see it, but also our audience and anybody else that you tag in that process. So that was just another one I wanted to highlight. If you do that consistently, it's one of the few ways that you have the ability to not put money towards something and expand outside your circle in social media. We have a couple other ways coming up we'll talk about, but that is a great way to kind of capitalize on social media and get it out there.
Yep. And we just want to drive home that you don't technically need more content all the time. More ideas, more content. You can reutilize what you already have to make new content ideas.
100%. Yeah, you have like I said, you have a gold mine of content already for every listing that you have media captured for. So utilize it. It's sitting there. It's personal. It means something to you. And you can put it out there for everybody to see on that side of things outside of that listing. Awesome. Well, thanks, Tessa. That kind of wraps up some best tips and tricks with photos. I know that's one we get a lot of questions on because we just don't want it to stop at MLS. That's a great way to carry that forward. But most of our clients, when they're getting their media, you're kind of doing multiple things to capture that home as much as possible. So photos, walkthrough video, we'll talk through next, and then we have some branding options too that are out there that I know a lot of people utilize, and we want to make sure that you're putting it out there the best way possible. So going next here, we'll talk about the walkthrough video. So again, when you get that media, download the walkthrough video and put it in that same folder that we were talking about before. So then that way you have it. Do that with all your videos. So you have them forever into the future and you don't have to worry about a clock running. You do have quite a long time, but the problem is you're probably going to forget about that listing in about 60, 90 days when you're, already busy with a lot of other listings. So this is a way to get ahead of it. Just do it day one and have it set aside. But the walkthrough video, as you download that, there's a lot of great ways to use that too. And we just kind of wanted to cover a couple different things that we see out there and some best practices. I think the number one thing is you want to download and upload to any program out there, any platform that you're utilizing for marketing. So if you're using, Meta with Facebook and Instagram, if you're using YouTube, if you're using TikTok, anything along those lines, any video content, you do not want to, and some of those platforms don't even let you. Mostly we see it for Facebook, but you don't want to simply just share a link over to Facebook because it's not going to get the reach and the engagement that you should get with that type of video. So the best practice is download it. And when you go to your social media profile, whether you're using a personal page or a business page, just click on photo video, just like you did for the photos, and select that video, upload it actually to the platform. And what that does is as I scroll through, you see we have features that we post on our page. It will show up like this, whether they're on desktop or mobile. As they're scrolling through, video is typically going to autoplay unless they went in and changed their own settings. But for most people, it's going to automatically play as they scroll through. So you're going to have a much better opportunity to get that attention in the first couple seconds. Otherwise, you're just going to be kind of passed by, and they're going to move on to the next content on their timeline. So I think that's an important one. We still see a lot of people just posting links. I don't like that idea because you're actually hurting yourself. You're going to limit the amount of people that are going to see it, and you're not giving yourself credit for what you're doing for that listing on that side of things. So I think that's a great one. Another one that I always like to talk about with the walkthrough video tours specifically is, if you're not utilizing YouTube, I think that's a great opportunity out there. So you got to think YouTube is still, I believe it still ranks as the world's largest search engine out there. So a lot of people still go to YouTube even before they go to Google or anything else when they're searching for information because they know it's going to have a lot of great content out there and you want to be a part of that. And so if you're not taking the walkthrough video tours and any other video that you do for your properties and getting them on YouTube, I think that's a great way to start getting that out there and start kind of expanding that audience a little bit. Just understand, I mean, with anything, it's going to take time. You know, you're not going to go from 0 followers to, 100,000 subscribers overnight. That's not the goal. More so on YouTube, it's going to be let's get it out there and let's get it in the search. So then that way people can come across it and it's going to actually build not only for that listing again, but for your branding. It's going to bring people back to you so they can see what else you're doing. So when you go to YouTube, this is just a quick search I did earlier, but I just searched Lima, Ohio homes for sale. That's where our home office is. If you didn't know that, we're right here in the middle. Todd always says in the middle of the cornfields, and he's not wrong. We're surrounded by cornfields, but if I search this, you can see what pops up here. There's some people, local agents that are doing exactly what we said, and they're getting their listings uploaded to YouTube. And so a simple search like this is going to get you more exposure on that side of things. You're going to see a lot of listings pop up there. And so it's a great opportunity to start utilizing that if you're not currently doing that. And as far as how to do that, if you're not familiar with YouTube, it's very, very simple. So you'll go to YouTube, create an account, and then I think out of all the platforms, there's a lot of settings and options you can adjust and everything else. But just start by getting the video out there. Click in the top right corner, click create, upload a video. You'll upload that video. I do suggest, I like this format, include the address in the title. So then that way it's searchable as well. But then that gives you a whole nother essentially audience and library that media is getting presented to that you never really capitalize on before if you're not utilizing this. So I think that's a great way to get that out there. I think other great ways to use the walkthrough video or any of the media that we're talking about in general is when we're talking about, again, this link, with that single property website, that brings them to a page that you can customize. And again, we'll talk about this in a deeper dive here in the next few weeks, but this is a single property website that hosts all your media. So this is a great one talking about photos, video, everything to where you can actually get it in front of, and I reorganized mine a little bit here, but you can get this in front of any audience you have. So if you have an email, subscriber network and you want to blast it out to everybody, this is a great link to include in that. I'm always a fan of if you're sending people to a link to check out a property, do not use a syndicated website if possible. That's my personal belief. I think we're mostly on the same page, across the board on that. If you don't know the difference between that, is basically what I'm saying is if you're including an email blast, if you're texting a potential buyer, if you're texting another agent, anything like that, send them to a single property website like this because if you text them a Zillow link, they're a click away from the next listing, the next agent, whatever the case is. This is going to actually be custom to you. It's going to have all the information, all the media that we captured will be on here. Any information that you add to this page will be here. But there's no way for somebody to click on a map and click to the next listing and you lose their attention. They're going to be focused on you and this property for as long as they're looking at it here. So I think that's a very important thing with video specifically, but all media in general. And then again, just kind of use it. It's a great marketing tool out there. When you have this walkthrough tour out there, it tells a story that the pictures don't. We've all been there to where you're looking at a listing that doesn't have a video and you can't tell where this room is compared to this room across the house. You're trying to think, is it next door? Is it across the house? Or where is this? So that video will kind of set that for them because it's going to walk through that house in a standard progression that ties it all together. And so oh, this bedroom's, right off the main room or this bedroom's upstairs, this is in the basement, whatever the case is, it's going to tell a little bit more of that story for you. And then also use it after closing. Like Tessa said before, on top of pictures, you could use the walkthrough video tour as a just sold post, as a year in review, as anything else on that side to really kind of tie that and use the most out of that marketing material on that side. Perfect. Any questions on walkthrough video or from our team here? Any other thoughts on the walkthrough video? Don't see anything coming in right now. Okay, so we can move on. So we covered photos, we covered walkthrough video. So I think that the other big thing that's a lot of people are utilizing, and we're having a lot more of you guys, taking advantage of the vertical video and the agent on camera, is it's another thing that it's not a post once and forget it. I think there's different ways to utilize that, and there's different places to use it and things along those lines too. So we'll talk a little bit about the vertical video. Joy, I can pass it over to you if you'd like to kind of help us on that side of things, and we can kind of do a little bit deeper dive on that side.
Yeah, sure. So I love the vertical videos. With social media, walkthrough videos are great for buyers to kind of understand the layout of the house, but we all know that on social media, people have a limited attention span. So the verticals are short. Highlight videos are like 60, maybe 90 seconds if we're pushing it. Just highlights of the main rooms, and they move quick. The transitions. We have the special effects now, so they're really fun, and I just love how versatile they are. We, of course, put music with it, but you are free to take the music out and add music within the app, and that's a way to switch it up if you want to change it, or you can do a voiceover. I've heard people do talk about, like, from the seller's point of view, like all the memories they've had in the home, over top of the video, like without music or music very low. And I just think that's such an attention grabber on social media. I love, so they're great for Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Am I forgetting anything? I think that's the main ones there. Oh, stories, since they are so short. So lots of places you can use them, and you can, if you want to add text over them, like if you have an open house or something, or if you want to put like a good hook, something to look for later in the video, that kind of thing, you can add that as well. So there's just so many things that you can do with them. And I know Chris is going to talk about agent on camera, which is kind of the video you're seeing now, where he's actually talking and jumping in the pool and everything. But if you're not, quite there yet where you want to talk on camera, I love that you can actually be in the vertical video without talking. So you can open the door for the photographer. You can kind of like move throughout the house and just kind of interact with the video. So lots of ways you can use those. And, of course, your goal is to sell the home, but also you are, this is great for showing potential sellers how you're marketing properties. So if someone's kind of thinking about selling, they're watching your page and they see that consistency where you're doing videos like this, I think that's great. It just really builds your credibility, and just shows them that you're doing something different than, what a lot of agents are doing. Yes, agents are doing vertical videos, but there are still so many that aren't. So, you really stand out, I think, with these. So,
Yes, and to echo what Joy said, so what we have on the screen here is a feature that we shared, but we have the vertical video and then we have the agent on camera videos. And so I wanted to show you the vertical format on this one. So the vertical video, like Joy said, is 60, maybe 90 seconds on something, but we try to cut it at about 60. And it's the Vanna White tour of the property. So it's a silent tour. You can kind of guide them in the house. You can be present throughout the highlight of the home as we kind of go through there. So like Joy said, that's a great way to get your feet wet of being on camera, because I know that's a big kind of shock to a lot of clients, say a lot of agents that we talk to is when we say, when are we going to get you on camera? And it's always like, oh, I don't know, I'm not ready for that. So the vertical video is a great way to kind of bridge that. If you're nervous about speaking and everything else, start with a vertical video, and then you can transition. We have the agent on camera videos. You can transition to that, which will give you a lot more. And we can kind of pass it to Chris to talk a little bit about the agent on camera.
So yeah, so we have a couple agent on camera products. Just a real quick kind of snapshot what they are. We've got the agent on camera, and then we have the agent on camera deluxe. The agent on camera is basically it's you doing an intro and an outro with a highlight video in the middle. We try to keep them at that 60-second mark. Sometimes they'll go a little longer, but we try and keep them as close to 60 seconds as possible. The agent on camera deluxe is the intro, outro, and then up to 3 points within the house, talking about detailed features. A lot of people, to Steve's point, a lot of people are very nervous about doing something like this. And I'd say the biggest question I get is, will you guys help us with a script or something along those lines? And I usually advise agents not to do scripts, especially when you're doing an agent on camera. So the agent on camera, even especially if it's your first, you're going to be nervous having some complicated script that you have to memorize. and try and do the script. Make sure you smile and you're bubbly and all that fun stuff because you're trying to remember what to say. Just very complicated. So I always recommend people keep it simple. First and foremost, you want to do some sort of a hook. And so the idea is instead of sitting there saying like, "Hey, I'm Chris Vogue. I'm out here 123 Main Street. Come take a look at this 4 bedroom, 3 bath, blah 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 blah." People, they're gone. Like if you do something like that, people are just they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I've seen that a million times." They're gonna check out. So you want to come up with something different. I usually tell people what is the number one reason why somebody would want to buy this house, and then turn that into a hook. And that's something you could go to like ChatGPT or one of the AIs and just say, "Hey, I'm trying to come up with a hook. Here's something like this." So one of the best hooks I actually heard for a video, it's a video we shot down in Cincinnati, I believe. One of the best hooks I ever heard was, "Here's 3 reasons why I hate this house."
I was just
And
gonna say that one. I
yeah,
love that one.
yeah. So because it was the whole point behind the hook is I was like, wait, what did she just say? And then I watched the video, and I watch a million real estate videos all the time because I wanted to see what she was going to say about she hates this house. What's going on here? But it doesn't have to be that. It could just be something as simple as like, if you're looking for a private oasis for your next home, you've got to take a look at this one. I mean, just something simple. Then introduce yourself and keep it very simple. And then you introduce yourself in the property. Again, don't feature dump. Don't talk about square feet, bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. If somebody watches the video, so first of all, your whole point of that intro is to get them to stop and watch the video. If they watch the video, they're going to look at it from a visual perspective. They're not going to be thinking, "I wonder how many bedrooms this has." And try and figure that out. If they like what they see, then they'll go to the single property website or wherever you're taking them, and then they can see whether it has the bedrooms and bathrooms and things like that. You're just going to kind of lose your audience by doing that. So keep it simple. The intro is a nice hook of why would someone want to buy this house, and then introducing yourself and the property. And then the outro is another simple one. You just simply say, "Thanks for viewing the home. For a private showing, give me a call." And something along the lines of, "If I can help with any of your real estate needs, let me know as well." The idea being like, if this house isn't something they're looking for, I as a realtor can still help you. So if you just keep it simple like that, you don't have to memorize lines, you don't have to get super complicated, and you're going to be able to do this more fluently. And so the video is just going to be a little bit better. The people that graduate to the Agent on Camera Deluxe are typically ones that have done these for a while. And so then they start then getting into scripts with regards to, different rooms and things like that. But if you're just starting out, the Agent on Camera is a great way to do it because you can keep it very simple, but you can still show a little bit of personality, let people see you. So not only are you promoting that home, but you're also promoting yourself at the same time. So
I love it. Yeah, I like that. That hook's probably one of the most important things, when you're doing one of these videos is just, make it something that think of all the stuff that you see as you're scrolling, what makes you stop and try to take that same idea. And it might not be universally, transitional to this industry, but, think about what makes you stop and try to inject that into your hook. And it's going to have a lot more success on that side too. So what
you
Chris, oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just say you have seconds, literally seconds,
Yeah.
to capture their attention. And if you come in with something that doesn't excite them, um, then they're going to just keep scrolling and they're not going to watch your video. So that's why the hook is so important. Like that's typically if you do a hook with us, that's typically the first thing we'll have on the video is we want to have you in front of them, pitching that out so that hopefully people will stop and watch the video. And again, whether they're in that house or not, it's more about uh, them seeing what you're doing.
I love it. And I think a couple things on the other side of that, as far as how to get the most mileage out of the agent on camera videos. Actually, one thing we didn't say is agent on camera videos, we actually give you the option to get those vertically or horizontally. And so I think that's important too. So you can kind of determine vertically is if you're going to be doing anything social media related, go vertical. That's going to get the most mileage out of that, the most bang for your buck as far as engagement and reach and everything else, because it's going to take up that entire screen on their phone as they're scrolling through. So that's the one I would always recommend for that. Now, if you have a separate purpose to where you're looking for a website piece, or you're looking for something that you're going to direct them to where you feel like more of them might be on something like a desktop or something like that, use the horizontal. So it gives you two different options there. So you can kind of determine what's your goal, where are you getting the traffic from, and that will determine vertical versus horizontal. So just wanted to highlight that too. But as far as how to use it, again, I'm a broken record here, but again, this should be part of the media you download when you first get the listing, because this is probably one of the greatest pieces that I think you can continue to reuse over and over again into the future. Don't use it like a flyer with an agent on camera video or a vertical video, to be honest with you. Don't use it like a flyer. Don't use it once for the listing and then call it done and then never go back to it. There's a lot of great ways to use this. One thing that I would suggest is if you are posting it on Facebook or Instagram, anything along those lines, there's an option on your post to where you can click and you can actually pin a post. I recommend that especially during the life of the listing. Have that be the first thing they see, because what happens when they go to your profile, then they will see any featured posts right here at the top. So I think this is critical for when you're talking about an agent on camera, because it's a great way to get your brand out there, but you're also trying to sell that listing. So you can do kind of two things at once with that. So that's a great option, but I think there's a lot of other really useful ways for the listing and then into the future to use this. One for the listing is any kind of pre-showing email. So if you have somebody that books a showing for a property, text them that video, especially if it's in vertical format, or send them a link to the website that has that. Because if that's the first time they're meeting you, they're already going to have a warm impression of you if they've already seen you on camera. So they may not have seen that video to get to the booking. So cover all bases, send them that video before the showing. So then that way you kind of warm them up a little bit before meeting you. I think that's a great way to use it. And then obviously, even outside of the listing, continue to use it. This is a huge part for your listing presentations moving forward. If you're doing the folder system that we mentioned where you're going to have access to all these, maybe create another bookmark just for listing presentation to where you could take the best of the best, or maybe when you had this situation, you did this, and you can kind of show it right in a listing presentation saying, I had a similar, seller last year that had a similar property that had concerns, and this is what we did for them, and then this is how we delivered. And so you're showing them, not telling them, and they can see what you're putting into the marketing efforts for that property. So I think that is highly underutilized. I would definitely start keeping some of your media, front and center, so you can really show it off when you get into those listing presentations. And then, just like we said with everything else, even after the close, there's nothing wrong with taking a vertical video or an agent on camera, like what we were just looking at, and reposting it to your page with a sticker over top. If you're using Reels or TikTok or anything like that, you could put text or a sticker right over the top that says sold, and kind of boast on that. That's a big accomplishment to get that listing sold. But then also it tells everybody else that, hey, look, not only am I seeing that they list a lot, they're actually showing a closed loop and showing that they're getting results by getting it off the market, and they're seeing that full picture. So it paints a better picture out there too when you're kind of advertising that out to everyone. But overall, I think that the biggest, kind of message that we really want to let everybody know is again that media is not just for that listing. Use it for the listing, use it to its full potential for that, but also continue using it into the future. And so you're going to get a lot more return on that investment, as we've talked about before. But outside of that, I know we're getting closer to the end here. We just wanted to kind of give you a roadmap and maybe open your mind a little bit on ways that you're not utilizing this media that maybe you can start. So over the next week, try something new. Use a piece of media that you've never used before in a different way and see what happens with it. It's just that habit. The more you do it, the more it just kind of becomes part of the system, and you're going to get a lot more mileage, just marketing power, just for your listings and for your brand, and it's going to pay dividends in the long run. So outside of that, we can turn it over. I didn't see any questions left unanswered in the chat. Are there any other questions out there? We'll give you a few minutes to type those in. As far as the webinar goes, just like we did last week, this is being recorded, so we'll send it out to everybody so that way you have this. It will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you're not a subscriber there, subscribe and you'll be notified when new videos hit on there as well. One other thing I did want to just mention is there's still a lot of content to come here in August and into the future. So if you go to our website, we have the bar up at the top or under resources, you can go to events. We have today's webinar in here, but we also have two more throughout August. Next week's going to be about launching single property websites. And the other one is going to be using the marketing toolkit to kind of build your system. So it'll be a little bit easier to put these together and get it out there a little bit easier to your audience on social, email, print for, postcards, anything along those lines. So register for those. Even if you can't attend, register. We'll send you the recording so then that way you have it. I know you're busy. It's harder to cut out an hour sometimes than other times. So register. We'll make sure we get the information. And it looks like Mike asked a question. How will this information be shared? So we'll send it out to everybody so you guys have that. But YouTube, we will get it uploaded to YouTube in full. We'll put the chapters in there so you can kind of skip to whatever information that you're looking for if you don't want to dedicate an entire hour to sit down and listen to the whole thing. And we'll get that information out to you. Give us, a day or so to get that out. Maybe through Monday, we'll get it out and we'll get it uploaded and send it out to everybody.
And if you have any issues finding it, Mike, you can give me a call as well, and I'll help you track it down.
Yep, you got a great team here, with everybody with WoW. So if you don't know your local person, we have a lot on the meeting today. Chris in Columbus and Dayton, Ryan in Lima. We have Joy in Charlotte. We have Pam in Cincinnati. Not on the call right now. We also have Taylor up in Cleveland, and we have Craig in Toledo. And so we have a team here to support you. If you just need to talk through and figure out what's the right media for the right listing, if you have, just procedural questions on how to do something, anything along those lines, let us know. We'll get you in touch with the right person and we'll make sure you're taken care of. But we're getting to an hour here, so I just wanted to thank everybody for joining today. Keep an eye out for that follow up with the recording. And if you have any questions, let us know. We'll let you get back on with your week. I know it's a busy time of the year, but we're here if you need anything, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
See you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.